So you're not going to do anything. I'll just set up the pound breakout, will I?
Yeah. Absolutely do that, mate. Yeah. Let's set up the pound breakout up. Um,
Okay,
there are
cool.
opportunities long if is that now there, is it? There are opportunities long on the FTSE if people still want to take them, but I am not taking them personally. Um, because
Still be in
I
yesterday's.
no,
Yeah,
I've
sorry,
just
mate. You go.
I've yeah no I've closed everything down. I'm not prepared to trade through this period, and the main reason is because if I keep it running, then I've got to manage it, and I don't. And it could be really good, it could ease to the upside, or it could be quite vicious. So all I'm going to do from here on in is just take the next couple of days off and come back next week. And do you know the other thing is that we got this China America trade deal being potentially resolved on Sunday. So there's a couple of things over the weekend that I'm not prepared to trade through.
Yep, fair enough. Actually, that sounds like a big gap potential for Monday morning.
Exactly that. As I say, I think there's some further upside in the FTSE, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see it even potentially break out. After you've set up the pound trade, and we'll talk about the FTSE's market
Yep.
structure. But yeah, it's just opened up now.
Righto, guys. Here's your range. I'll leave yesterday's range in. As you can see, would have been taken in long on the pound yesterday, and you would be trailing under my rules there, there, there. So your stop loss would be there at the moment, having gained about entry there, 45 pips on a risk
Yeah,
of, depends where you put your risk. It'd be pretty good anyway. So,
very good, mate.
back in the good winning circle there. Today's range, 1, 2, 3 bars there. So we've got a low of 132.05. So that makes that one easy. The new entry becomes 132.00, which is there. We'll just lessen that off a bit and use that. So there's our short entry. Long entry will be 10 pips above this bar here, which will be 132.30. And we'll do the same thing. Nobody's come up with an alternate yet, mate, to my management method.
No, no. I don't know. Maybe it's being thought about, or maybe everybody likes what you've got already.
Maybe. We'll see. Stop loss is an interesting one. I haven't quite worked out where I'm prepared to put my stop, or if I'm prepared to use a stop.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because you've got a trigger on that on both sides, right?
Yeah, I think it depends on when it breaks out, I suppose. And
Hmm.
if it breaks out quickly, then I can put a stop loss in
Yeah, I mean
after entry.
the um the thing that springs to mind when I look at that is that the stop loss would go where the previous one's entry is, where the other entry is, effectively. So
Yesterday,
breakout on either side.
yesterday's entry.
No, so the top lines break out and the bottom lines break out that you've got there. If it
I
breaks the
use the
bottom
range.
end,
Use
yeah,
this.
but
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. If it breaks down, then the stop loss goes where the entry to the upside would have been, and if it breaks
yeah.
up, the stop loss goes where the entry to the downside would have
That's
been.
generally how I do it, and that's what we
Yeah.
would have, or that's what I suggested yesterday with the FOMC breakout, which would have worked had
And
price been in the right spot, but it wasn't. It was right at the top of the range. No good for me.
how is the range defined?
The range for
The for
where
the
I'm
range, yeah,
happy to trade this little range here.
yeah, the
Okay,
range, the high and the low, sort of, where the top and the bottom is.
okay, that one's easy. Let's get rid of all this junk, which is now junk. But that worked well, didn't it? I told the guys, I think either Monday, maybe Monday, that this was a very, very strong potential rally off here because
Mm,
we failed really. That was that news event that I can't remember, but it was an emotive move. Oh, that was NFP, right? So that was
yes.
an emotive move down here on euro dollar. And really, what was going on here was a holding pattern, just waiting for that NFP event. And really, you saw what the NFP meant to the euro dollar. Not a lot. It went to support, and then bang, away she went again. So I guess that's FOMC related as well. But the market was really hanging on for this. You can see that really is a continuation pattern, as I said at the time. But anyway, let's go. I didn't trade that. In fact, it wasn't my bias in any way, shape, or form. But certainly the technicals were telling me that. So here's how we work out the range, guys. I use Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday's high and low. So that becomes the range. So Monday here, Tuesday here, Wednesday here. So our high was this one here. And our low was, there's Monday still there, this one here. So I go 15 pips above the high of the range. There's the high of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday right there. So 15 pips above there becomes our entry. And the bottom of that range, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, is there.
Does that mean this can only be traded on a Thursday?
Well, it's actually Wednesday overnight into Thursday, isn't it? Basically. This is FOMC, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So we're trading the FOMC breakout.
Gotcha.
But the criteria that I use, and I said yesterday, and I put this little box around it, if price is in that inner range at the time the FOMC statement is released, then the trade is valid. But if it's up here, the trade is invalid because we're too close to the top of the range. So if you actually put that on even a minute before the FOMC statement, the chances are someone will speculate quickly before the announcement, or even the announcement can be read the wrong way, and the statement, can be read the wrong way, and price can just go very, very quickly in both directions. So I don't want price to be anywhere near the top of the range at that time. That's why I don't do it, and I much prefer it to be in the middle, in here somewhere. Then you've got a chance, if you do go very quickly in either direction, and then the market corrects itself, that's when the real, in my opinion, the real safe way to trade that kicks in. So you got that, mate? Does that work for you?
Yes, it does. But the range on the pound, how's that defined? Just
okay, the range on the pound. Okay, we've got two options with this one, and the option that I'm using is use the range of the last 3 bars before London Open. So today, this is the last bar before London Open. So there's the top of the range. There's the bottom of the range.
I see.
Pips, 5 pips below the low is our entry. 10 pips above the high is our entry. Got it?
Got it. And what gave you those numbers?
It's just something I kind of use for a buffer, if you like, with the open. Again, if price goes one way a little bit below the low or above the high and then turns around very quickly, I won't get into trouble, or I shouldn't get into trouble if I allow that buffer.
Yeah.
If I go on the bottom of the candle to the top of the candle, there's a very high proportion of fake entries for mine. So that's why I just like to use that little buffer. If this explodes, like pound US dollar can do and does do at London Open, you really haven't got a lot of problem here if you use those parameters. But the top and bottom of the bar, no, I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah. But as I say, if this goes, it generally goes a fair way, and that's why it's a strategy. You know, it's a recognized strategy. A lot of people trade this in various guises.
Yeah.
And I think that helps because there's liquidity there.
Yes.
So they probably don't use the same entries that I'm looking at, and definitely not the same management. But it's a thing, you know. Trading the London breakout is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Time and tried and tested. So today we're not entered. Here's the entry here, here's the entry here. But as I said yesterday, you'd be still in the trade and your stop loss would be just about right there at the moment. That is pound US dollar, and I don't really want to know about that. And I wouldn't be. And guys, if you're actually trading these, I hope you're not, because this is still in very much trial mode. You shouldn't, if you're on ATW accounts, you shouldn't have a trade on the pound anyway at the moment, or the FTSE. So yeah, you don't want to be doing this. This is purely forward testing that we're doing at the moment, and really, you shouldn't be trading.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, mate. I'm not even trading the FTSE myself. I think I'm taking a couple of days out of the market. I think the problem with trading through this kind of weekend is that it can get really confusing and just really hurt people's psychology. So it's not worth it. It's not worth putting yourself under any unnecessary stress with it, which is why I think it's, I do think the FTSE is going higher, and I think it might even go higher by 30 to 60 pips by the end of the day, but I'd prefer just to kind of sit this one out. We don't need to get every single day's trade, and even though my thought is that it goes higher, and there's patterns which suggest it goes higher, I think that there's too much uncertainty, or too many events which could provide uncertainty, which means that it won't be the easiest day to trade, or the easiest position to trade. It might end up being one of those ones that because it's like that, it could be really explosive. But I'm taking the next 2 days out.
Yep, pretty much me too, mate. I'm on holidays. I've actually got to go back to the mainland on Sunday, so I've got to prepare for that. Actually, you'd be out of yesterday's trade now, guys, because the stop would have been under this bar. It would have moved when that bar closed. So that would have been your stop, pretty much where price is right now. And you would be out of that again in profit. So, yep, keep watching, keep coming up with different ideas around that. And I'll be very happy if we come up in January. When are we back, mate? January 3rd or something? I can't remember
now. Quite possibly. Let me just double check. It might be somewhere around there. I might still be travelling back from where I'm going. I'm going off for the new year, and I think I come back on the 3rd, so it might be the 4th for us. But let me just double check.
I'm not sure. And we finish next Thursday. Is our last show? Yeah.
Oh, is it?
I believe so.
I suppose it would be.
Yep.
Gosh, there's not much of the month left, is there? 19th we finish, yeah. So that's the 19th. So I'll be able to trade a few more days after that. I tell you, mate, I think this is going to be, just because of the days to trade, probably the worst. The 3rd of January is a Friday, so we'll be back on the 6th.
On the 6th, right? Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be the worst month in my year, I think, just because there's not enough days to trade. I'm a couple of percent up now, and my target is 6, but I don't think I'm going to hit it.
And they've taken 2 days away from you because of this.
And they've taken 2 days away. Yes, absolutely right. I should be really trading through this period, but I can't. So, will I make 4% next week? Pretty unlikely, but you never know.
Do you think we'll get a result overnight?
Well, I think there's 326 seats, if I'm correct on that. It's around 330 anyway. So the majority provides 330 seats. So I guess it depends on which come in first. If we get all the 330 seats counted that are all Conservative, then it's possible that it could be a very early result. But it's really in the lap of the gods for that. It's not really a timing issue per se. It's a bit of a flip of the coin, depending on which results come in first.
Depends how the sticks fall, doesn't it?
Exactly. I would have thought we would. So I think by tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning, we probably will have a fairly good idea of the results. but it may take until the afternoon.
Cool. Anyway, I think I'll be shutting down my. Actually, I can't do that because I'll have to be managing a few trades that I'm in. Aussie dollars 1. That shouldn't be too bad. Not in EuroCAD yet, am I? No. But that's still there. The order's still there, guys. This is still a high, still a lower high. So I'm still happy with that. To play that candle there, short, stops above it, entry below it. Also in a couple of other trades, dollar CAD short, dollar yen short. They might be interesting, but they're well in profit and free trading, so I'm not too concerned about that. They should be okay, but certainly anything to do with the pound, no, I won't be doing that.
I'm going to show you.
Sorry, mate.
I'm just going to show you what we're dealing with. Oh, hold on, you might get kicked out here.
Yeah, bye.
Is it bye? Yeah, bye for Jeff. I'm just going to show you guys what we're dealing with here. 5 minutes into, 10, 15 minutes into trade. And this is what we've had. We've had a break to the upside, actually taking out this high, a hold, another try to get back higher again, and we're just floating back down again. So, I do think that there's higher to go in the market, but all the way down here, I don't know if any of you managed to get the daily pivot yesterday, but it would have been a fairly decent return yesterday on the daily pivot. But now this area down here around about 7,200 is probably the last area that you'd be looking at along. That gives way, then there's probably some open water to the downside. But I don't think it will. I think that there's still plenty of room for upside, and when we look at this chart, then we've still got the weekly pivot to probably be retested. But I just see us up here, maybe not as high as the monthly pivot, but certainly around about midway between the two pivots. So I see us up there at some point by the end of the month.
And then starting to look a chart that's waiting for an election result. Right?
It really is. Look at that. I mean, this is what I was going to point out, that we do have an accumulation pattern here. So we do have this inverted head and shoulders going on, with this kind of like area here as our left shoulder and our heads down here, and we do have a right shoulder along here. So there is this going on. Not the best one there, but there is that going on. So it's like
Herman.
Just Herman from the Munsters. Yeah, yeah, it is. But this area does need to break now. Yeah, yeah. That area does need to break out now, and measured move on that would probably be only the area between these two pivots, which probably is going to be somewhere between the next pivot as well. So targets are going to be somewhere up there, but anywhere in this area here, I would have thought that there's a potential bit for upside, but just going to be too stressful in my opinion to try and trade it, and I'm just not gonna. I'm not willing or in the right frame of mind to be second guessing myself. I don't think so. I'm not going to trade this. I haven't got a pre-prepared plan for trading through the election. There was something that I was willing to do, but because yesterday didn't really provide what I needed to see price action, I decided just to close down along when we started to move back up again a little bit, and then just sit out for today and tomorrow. The pound is the biggest issue, or has been the biggest issue for me. I would have been okay to hold on to this one if I'd seen the pound actually showing some signs of weakening, but it just hasn't been doing that. It started to climb. This was yesterday's price action. Started to climb to the upside, and looks like it's holding its ground so far. Also, when we kind of go right across the boards, S&P is meeting those highs again. That was looking a little bit weak. Same with the Dow. The Dow's showing a similar pattern to the FTSE. And then we obviously are going to have to come on to gold, which the fact that gold was also rallying yesterday just put me in a position where I just didn't want to be playing anymore. Looks like gold at the daily pivot looks like a really good place. Yeah, great place to pick that one up to the upside. So looks like a long in gold. which isn't great, as I say, for the FTSE 100. It looks like the S&P might be at an all-time high and hitting resistance. And the issue with this is not the all-time high per se, but the fact that we're just a little bit away from that, actually. And we're just above the looks like we're just above the resistance zone, but that could fail quite easily. And the issue is that the US-China trade spat, if you like, is likely to get resolved on Sunday, one way or the other. We either see the tariffs come in or they don't.
Do you really believe that?
Not that they will be significant. I think that they probably will likely
a token gesture before Christmas, a little Christmas break.
Yeah, I think so. Which could see the S&P, gap to the upside, as you rightly pointed out earlier on. And a gap to the upside is, again, just going to be too tricky to play. You'd be better off trading the gap to the upside and the fade. If it is resolved, then let's trade it when it fades back down again. Because yes, there is this accumulation here. But what I don't particularly like about the S&P is the fact that we have gone a long way without really testing this breakout zone, which was, where those high exist for, quite some time. You kind of come back into the charts and 2010, this every time that we've gone somewhere, we do tend to test the area. We didn't do it there, in fact, but there's probably a trend line which would have held that one up. Yeah, just about. You see, there's a trend line through there. So with the trend line kind of being in existence here, then it makes sense. That's not the most unusual thing to kind of come down and just test that area and go. But the same thing hasn't really happened here. It still needs to come back some. So that's a little bit concerning, and that's putting the brakes on for me when I'm looking at these charts and expecting further upside. When I look at the FTSE, the picture on the longer term timeframes is still also quite concerning. When I kind of consider that when we look at these monthly charts, then momentum to the upside, according to the indicator, is fading. This is a monthly indication here that the momentum is fading. We can't see the price action perfectly, but there is a head and shoulders pattern going on the monthly as well. So even though I am looking for upside possibly for the rest of this month, I think as soon as we hit January, or maybe before, if the Santa rally doesn't kick in, I think that there is some danger to the FTSE 100 now. That's starting to look like an area that could get caged in as well. I might draw that line a little bit cleaner so we can see where the points are. Yeah, we're right on top of that now. Looks like we've got touches along here, so it's got to get through here. Maybe if it does, then we start to fly. But this does not. It would be unusual for the FTSE to break out to the upside and go when there is an election, when there is an ECB presidential meeting, when there is tariffs, potentially being taken off the table or continued on Sunday. So I think when we look at the evidence, mate, it just says to me, stay out of the way. When you get clarity, get back in the market. This every now and again, there's a few days I won't trade, and this has got to be one of them.
Yeah, look, I'm on board, mate. Which really, I guess, doesn't give us much to talk about in terms of setups, but I'll give you my opinion on the few that maybe are potential, if you like, and then I'm just about done.
Cool.
Okay, let's see if I can leave you in the show and actually bring myself into play. Okay, that should work. Right, let's start with the euro. As I said before, I'm not a fan of the euro at the moment, but I may need to reassess that given the dollar's potentially going to continue to weaken now because of what Powell said yesterday, which pretty much was no interest rate anythings until 2021. Interesting.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's not going to be inflationary for the dollar. One wouldn't have thought. On the other side of things, I guess there's still a differential in the interest rates that's significant between it and everything else. But it's had a big run. We've had a breakthrough. The dollar index broke through support yesterday. Gee, I saw that coming too, and I didn't trade it. Okay.
The dollar had what? Sorry, a big break.
The dollar index.
Yeah.
It broke and retested a support trend line, and just crashed yesterday, which we saw in all of these dollar pairs, of course. So with the euro, you can see that we are at strong resistance. We are still at a potential lower high here, and the potential for this to go to daily pivot today, I would have thought, is high. If I'm honest, I'd want to get into that pretty early, before the ECB statement, that's for sure. Can I do that? Look, I probably could, to be fair. If that becomes a low, that one's not a low. If that becomes a low, then we get another hit on it, maybe a low test bar or something. I don't see anything wrong with that, as long as you're taking profit before the low of the day. In fact, I might keep my eye on that. Risk above here somewhere, so about a 10 pip risk. You've got room to take profit if you can get in at that level. So I'm not too dusty with that. That looks okay to me. Euro dollar short, maybe even a break and retest a little bit later gives you an opportunity to take profit before the low of the day, and then obvious out is daily pivot. So yep, not too dusty. Aussie, I hope you guys got into this yesterday. We just got the call in time for you. I think we were just on entry at the time, and it didn't take long before it took off. And of course, the FOMC statement didn't hurt us one little bit. That's pleasing, because oftentimes news events can turn you around and go the opposite direction. This time, of course, we were safe by the time that happened. I'd taken both 1 and 2 profits before the FOMC statement, so that was all good. Potential for this to come back to the daily pivot today is there, but, and I say this all the time, if you have a look at when price reverses, and we're genuinely in a reversal here now, if you have a look at when it reverses, the daily pivot doesn't get a look in for a couple of days because it goes so hard. This looks like it is going hard as well. So I don't expect that we will have the same probability that we would normally have, because this is phase 2, right? We might get a little bit of retracement, but I expect this to go to the next level, which is this trend line here, which doesn't look to be in the right shape. There it is on the weekly chart. That's why. Why aren't we seeing that? Let me correct that. Very interesting. Hang on a sec. I don't want to give you a false indicator here. Okay, that doesn't belong on that chart. That's why. That belongs on the weekly. And the true trend line, that's going to change things a bit. Is pretty much going to be there. So we're actually through that, or we're trying to get through that at the moment. On the 4-hour chart, we are through that, and we've retested it. That's interesting. Shows you the importance of having your trend lines in the right place, guys. Would I trade this long here if I wasn't in the trade? No. Am I willing to scale into this? No, because this is the high of the day again. And one of my rules is do not trade into the high of the day. Full stop, no arguments, don't do it. So I'm waiting for something a little bit deeper than that. If it goes, it goes, and I can hardly complain about that, because we've still got a healthy position left in this. But I'm not thinking daily pivot retest, but that's probably what I would need to see to scale back into this. So I'm not going to do that. Little break and retest is nice. I like it, but trading into the high of the day is against my rules. EuroCAD, I said before, we're still waiting for that to trigger. How long will I wait is the question. No CAD news today, but Euro news today. Am I willing to trade through that? I think the answer is yes. But my risk or my stake in this will be very, very small now. I think I'm trading at maybe 0.5%. I'll knock that back to 0.25% because I don't want to put that much at risk. I'm happy to stay in there and trade through the news, but not at anywhere near full risk. So that's my advice if you're still looking at that. Just cut your risk back on EuroCAD because this will move. This will get out of here today. I've got no doubt about that. Whether it's long or short is the question. I think because I'm so far away from the entry at the moment, that's why I'm willing to stay in here. And if it goes long, it'll probably hit the monthly pivot or maybe even the trend line, find the support. And if it's going long, it'll just go from there, I would have thought, or it'll just go straight away. That could, of course, be entirely wrong, but that's the way I see things happening, and I'm more than happy to stay in this. I've been waiting for it all week. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There's nothing to do. Oh, actually, there might be something to do on the 30-minute chart there. If I put a range around that, which will be very evident, I would have thought. Yeah, actually, that doesn't look too bad, does it? I'll show you what I mean. So you could even go across to here and bottom of your range. Yeah, that's a bit iffy, isn't it, really? Yeah, I suppose I'll use those two lows there. So that's pretty evident. Pretty massive false break, of course. That no opportunity. Well, maybe there was an opportunity to trade that on the 30-minute chart, coming down to here and bang, little retest, and away you go. Didn't quite reach the top of the range, but what we did do is form another resistance level here. We've got a top to bottom, if you like, resistance to support, daily pivot, back to resistance, weekly pivot. That's going to be the challenge. Is it going to break out of here? And it's euro. Is this the wait for the news type scenario? Probably yes. You can see the pivots are very congested. That suggests that there is a wait and a hold on here until news. So that's not really tradable if for mine. Euro yen, it's still same as Euro CAD. This lower high is still there. This one here, or is it? It's been equaled. I won't say it's been broken, but if there's a close above that, then I cancel my bias, which is currently short, based on the daily chart, these highs, this lower high, and the top of the range here, top of the little ascending channel. So if that goes, then we're up here for sure, in my opinion, and there'll be another opportunity at the top of this range, or if it breaks out, then we can go to here. So a few opportunities there. Not speculating today on euro yen. I'll leave that up to what I've already discussed on euro CAD. This one's interesting as well. It's Aussie CAD. We did have a break and retest of the weekly pivot. Didn't like the bar so much, and that's proven to be total indecision at this point in time. What I would say is if we get back below this trend line and retest the trend line, daily pivot and or weekly pivot, or all three, that's a very bearish sign. Already we're seeing, I suppose, a lower high, but we've got a higher low, so it could go anywhere, to be fair. But back underneath here and retest definitely sees me trading this down to the bottom and the trend line. So that's all I want to know, mates. I'm going to wait, like you, till tomorrow and see what happens after the dust settles, if indeed the dust has settled at that point, and go from there.
Cool, mate. Okay, that sounds good.
But I'm done.
Yeah, me too. Okay, well, for the rest of you, be careful out there. It is going to be a tricky market potentially. So yeah, be very, very careful. I'm not sure exactly how you be careful in a market like this. You move your stops.
Go to the pub.
Go to the pub, yeah. It's one of those, isn't it? Because you move your stops, close to keep yourself safe, and you can get kind of taken out because your stops are too tight. You keep your stops loose, then you can get taken out at a much higher risk, which is just why it's just, I don't think it's the setups per se which is the problem. It's the money management which is the really tricky thing in an environment like this. So, yeah, I think
that's kind of why we're in the ideal position and exactly where we wanted to be on the Aussie dollar.
Yes,
we've taken profit twice. We've got our stops at entry. There's nothing can harm us here. Well,
yeah,
I'll take that back. There's always the potential for harm in a financial market, and it's very, very, very improbable that we can lose here. But if the market moved 2,000 pips in a heartbeat, then we've got an issue. But I don't see that's likely to happen.
Yeah, agreed, mate. Okay, sounds good. All right, well, for everybody else, be safe. Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend to you too, buddy. And we will be back Monday, same trade time, same trade channel. Do it again, and we will be discussing elections and ECBs and probably FOMC a bit, and obviously the tariff war between China and America.
Before we go, mate, thank you, Daniel, and LT. I think I said hello earlier. Ravinder, great question, mate. He's got an open pair euro yen with his stop loss at entry with a profit. Any impact you think from the UK elections? How far from entry are you, Ravinder? And have you taken profit already? It says you with a profit. They're the two questions that I'd like.
All right, let's get to those. I quite like this. This is what we're after, isn't it, mate? On a day like this, we kind of need questions to help us spend the time. Okay, so Ravinder, first thing is, can I find out what your entry price was? So I can plug it into my chart.
Okay, so euro yen, you've got your stops above entry, and one's got stops above entry, one's got stops at entry, 50% off at the moment. Awesome, well done, guys.
That's brilliant. That's really good. What was your entry price, mate? So it's 120.29, 120.29. Oh gosh, that is a good entry.
On a smaller time frame, maybe.
I love that. I love that. Okay, now my first thought there, Ravinder, is to certainly not be closing this trade down. Do you know, I'm presuming.
Show your chart now.
Can I show my chart without kicking you out?
So I'll just come straight back in anyway.
Okay. Right, so
it worked.
It works. Okay, we're in. All right, brilliant. So your entry is 120.29, which is a fantastic entry. It's all the way down here. So you are at this particular stage. Then you know there's no doubt about it. The obvious place to now start moving stops is to around about this daily pivot. You might want to give it a little bit of room because it's going to be held up here, and possibly this bounce point. So maybe a few pips below the 68 level will keep you completely safe if you want to ride this one for a bit longer. And I would do that. Let's just have a look. You see, this is the thing, is the daily chart, which when we look at the daily chart, let me bring this onto a cleaner chart so you guys can see it. Yeah, this is the interesting one, and this is why I'd stick with this one, because it hasn't proved that it's going through yet, and this would suggest that you've got at least a day. So I'd want to get my stops to that particular point to give myself some room to think. And after I've got that room to think, I'd want to be looking at this and checking out what the end of the day offers. Because if the end of the day offers a bar that looks like it is reversing, i.e. something like this. In fact, it'll probably end up looking green. But if it's like some sort of kind of shooting star here, if that bar turns into a high test, if you like, then I'd want to be moving my stops under that point there, under the low of the bar. But that means you need to give it a day, and I think it would be really good to be able to give this one a day, to kind of do its thing, rather than messing with it too much. And just to avoid an absolute obliteration to the downside, then the safest thing to do would be move those stops to the daily pivot. So that I would look at. Now let me just let me bring this up with some more detail as well. In fact, let's check the longer term time frames too. Look at this inverted head and shoulders down here on the weekly. That's a really good signal too. Let's just have a look at some of these trend lines. Okay, so that would be a potential target up there. So you could be looking at something in the way of 400 pips to the upside. So I'd want to be looking at that as a potential area to hold on to. Let's just do another line as well. Make sure we are through here. That looks like a potential area that could get sticky too. So yeah, you got another 100 pips, I think, out of this one before you need to be too concerned. But that is an inverted head and shoulders. You're just if this breaks through this point, then you really do have some open water to this area here. I would suggest around about 123.80, call it 124. So around about the 124 level would be an overall target on this one. But give it some room. Just check the bar tomorrow, and then you can shift those stops up off the back of that bar. That'd be the way that I would give counsel on this, mate. I would look at this particular bar tomorrow, let this one close, and see if it looks like there's some weakness there. Because remember, today is ECB,
That's
so
right.
you want to make sure that you're safe-ish. But because it is ECB, it has the potential for this to get through. So
you're in a great position. If I was free trading that, I would be super happy right now.
Yes, absolutely. Me too.
That's not going to put money in the bank, mind you, but this is actually what you try and do as certainly as a day trader. You're looking to get safe in the market with the potential for a massive change. And that massive change is potentially there in the ECB. Forget the elections. The elections, you're not going to know about that for quite some time. But with the ECB press conference or statement, you've got the potential here to take a very, very good ride. My addition to what Ash is saying would be if the ECB does give you a flyer, say 100 pips, to where Ash pointed out that resistance, I'd certainly take something else off the table at that point. And again, leave your stops in a wide position, because anything can happen with the elections. But if you get that free ride with the ECB, get something off the table, I reckon. And then if you get a second free ride, okay, it won't be as lucrative as the first or the combined, but there you have to think safety as well. So you can't go broke banking. That's the best advice.
Great trade though, buddy. Really good.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Great. Well done.
Really good. Really good entry. And you know what we're after with trading is time to think. Oh, brilliant, mate. Okay, that's amazing from the Sunday. Awesome, mate. Well, I appreciate the feedback on that. But yeah, stick in there. Really like it. Oh, so somebody else has got
And you can teach me how to take that trade, because it's a trade I would never take.
Yeah, well, maybe we could have a guest.
Absolutely.
How about that?
I would never trade that.
Okay, so do you know it's a great trade? I mean,
awesome.
The 29 is it's even before it's bounced off the pivots, but look at those.
That's why I wouldn't take it.
Really like it. So the other one is at 57. Yeah, I mean, your trade is less safe, to be fair. You should be at break even for sure, and I would be taking half off at this particular area because it could get stuck here. So I would do pretty much the same thing. Went through the checklist. Nice. Yeah, I would do pretty much the same thing. On this trade, which is entered at 120.57, in as much that you should be having half off here with stops, certainly at break even. Now you've got a little bit of room to put your stops a little bit higher to the daily pivot for sure, maybe another 10 pips or so, but I would still want to hold on to it just in case. You know, the the ECB, Lagarde may well fly this through this area. You know, she could take that through without too many problems at all.
Highly likely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those, isn't it, mate? It'll either go, you know, absolutely motoring to the upside, or it's going to fail. You know, and it's going to fail significantly. So it's going to motor one way or the other. So that's why I would encourage taking that. So that means that Ravinder's trade was on the Monday, I guess. I see. Yeah. I get it. Do you know what, Jeff? That's a daily wave rider.
I'm looking at the hourly chart. Show me your daily chart.
Yeah. This is a daily wave rider. I don't think I can probably by kind of legal process show the strategy on YouTube, but if we're looking at
LT was flow. Okay, cool. All the strategies picking it up. That's great.
Yes, yeah. This did pick it up because if we look at this on a daily chart, the pivot stepped up. The pivot in question stepped up. The super trend was in agreement. Yeah. And this was the entry bar right here.
As I said, one I would never take in 100 years.
Yeah. Well,
although that said, the pivots have already been broken, so that changes things.
The pivots, yes. Trying to look for where weekly resistance 1 is on that one actually. Let me just find
Lewis. There'll be another one, mate.
There was weekly resistance 1. So the first take profit was there, wasn't it? According to the Wave Rider strategy rules.
That 4-hour bar looks beautiful, though.
Oh, mate, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, this is the thing, Ravinder. There are sort of like other strategies that would give you even more profit on this. But I love the fact that you found this. Good work, mate. Good work. That's really good. Now you want to be riding it. Now, obviously, with Wave Rider rules, it's going to be slightly different. So I would manage it the Wave Rider way, because that's going to give you the highest probability. So you're leaving this stops at break evens, great, which is they're well out of the way, and you are leaving this for the rest of the week and next week without doing anything. So look at this in a few weeks' time. And the good thing with that one is that it's got plenty of room. You know, if it breaks through this high, that has got some open water.
LT, you traded that 4-hour bar by the look of it off the weekly pivot. Beautiful, lovely, nice. That's pretty much what we traded on the Aussie as well.
Cool. Now with flow, I don't have a flow template to reference, so I can't help you with that one, unfortunately. I should probably get hold of that when I get out to Singapore next time in February, so we can loosely talk about those too. But still, the key thing was that you've got the trade and you are in and off. You woke up late. Well, you're still in, mate. You're still in, so that's okay. Good work, though. Got
good
really
thing
good
you
work.
woke up, mate.
Do you know what? I'm kind of I'm really proud of Ravinder for getting that. You know, it's not easy to kind of have a you know, learn a strategy on a weekend and then start trading it on the Monday and find something like that. It's very, very good. That's brilliant. I'm going to note that one down actually, because this one might actually be one that I will show at the next IFP, because it looks
could
like
be a real good one.
It could be brilliant, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's call it in, mate, and we'll be back as we say Monday. Have a great rest of the day, guys. If you're trading longer term strategies, I think you're probably in a much better place in some respects. I think the short termers are going to get beaten up.
Yeah, you could get chopped right up today in you know, smaller time frames. That's true. Yeah,
absolutely right. All right, see you later, guys, and see you later, buddy. You have a good one too, and I'll speak to you Monday.
I'll do my best. Have a good weekend. I'm off to the mainland on Sunday, and actually, I may not be in Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Not sure, but I'll Skype you over the weekend and tell you how I'm going.
Good stuff. Okay, sounds good, mate. Sounds good.
Have a great weekend, everyone. See you guys.
See you, buddy. Go well.